Okay, so on your quiz, a lot of it is going just to be vocabulary. And so I'm going to try and give you some little clues that'll help you to understand vocabulary. Um, Perpendicular, right here, let's just address that. Perpendicular is always going to be like sorry, it doesn't look real pretty, where they meet. So they have to form 90-degree angles, whereas parallel never will touch. Okay. And so parallel is like going to be like a train track. And perpendicular is going to be like a corner. So it's got those 90-degree angles. So anytime that you can make that 90-degree angle, you know that it could possibly be a perpendicular line. Okay. So, and then quadrant three, which acute angle is in quadrant three. And so quadrant three is going to, or sorry, with the acute angle is in which quadrant? Acute, I like to always think of it as a cute little kitty cat, a cute little dog, and they're always small. So it's going to be less than 90 degrees. Okay, so acute is less than 90 degrees. This one is always going to be 90 degrees because you can make that box that identifies it as a 90 degree. Okay, and then 180 degrees is going to just be straight across. And I'm going to give you a little activity that will help you to read a protractor. So those will be a little bit more helpful. Okay, and so angle DEF. Okay, so she was wanting you to measure on quadrant 2, angle DEF and LMN. Okay, and so LMN, it's an obtuse angle because it's greater than that 90. So it's going to tell you. So if you look at this answer right here, did that make sense to you? If that is an obtuse angle, is 55 an obtuse degree? No. Okay, so that 100 degrees is going to make it a little bit more relevant when you see that once you identify them, you know that it's going to be less than 90 or greater than 90. Okay, so let's talk about the complementary and supplementary angles. Okay, so one of the ways that I can help you to identify complementary is so it starts with a C. Now think about this. If you draw a line straight down, okay, what number does that look like? It looks like a 9. So if you add a 0, a complementary angle is always going to measure 90 degrees. So the sum of the two angles will measure 90 degrees. All right, and then supplementary is just the opposite. If you draw an S, okay, and we go in and we add a line, just one line, okay, what number does that look like? It looks like an 8. So supplementary is equal to 180 degrees and complementary is equal to 90 degrees. So when it's asking you blank and blank are complementary, it's asking you which two numbers, when added together, will equal 90 degrees. Or on number, I think that says 10, D and blank are supplementary angles. So which two numbers, when added together, will give you 180 degrees. All right, so let's just looks like you got A correct and possibly B is missed. Okay, so you know that you're going to want to equal 90 degrees. So let's say that we're going to start with 90. Okay, so we start with 90. And some of it's going to just be trial and error, but you can look at letter or angle B and go, not going to be angle B because it's greater than 90. You can look at angle C and say, nope, doesn't make sense because it's also greater than 90. So that kind of just leaves us two choices, A and D. So let's say we're going to subtract 34. So that's how you're going to solve it. You're going to subtract 34 from 90. Okay, so when you get that, it's going to give you your answer. So you got 10 minus 4, which is 6, and 8 minus 3, which is 5. So that gives you an angle that measures 34 degrees and an angle that measures 56 degrees. Okay, so supplementary, we know it's going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so we got 180 degrees. Okay, and so on this question too, that D has already been given to us. So it's what that means is angle D and the sum of another angle are going to equal 180. So since they've already given us D, we're going to subtract 56 from 180. I really need a pen that works faster. And it's going to give us 124 degrees. So that's where you're going to get the angle B will come in. All right, and let's see. Let's look at number 11. I'm going to clear the page. Okay, number 11, it says the sum, which we know is going to be adding the answer to an addition problem. So adding angle A, which is 34 degrees, and C is equal to 180 degrees. All right, so it says write an equation to find the measure of angle C. So we know that the sum of the two of them is equal to 180 degrees. So the way that I would do this, and if you could start learning to do this now, it's going to help you in your later math because you're going to set it up algebraically. So we know the total is going to be 180 degrees. And we know that A measures 34 degrees. And if you do this, it might blow your teacher's socks off. So it'd be fun to do that, right? Plus, okay, we don't know what angle C is at this point. So we're going to say plus X, because an unknown in math is called a variable. And we represent that with a letter. So here's the equation. The equation is 34 plus X equals 180 degrees. Or you could have said 180 minus 34 equals angle C, or we're going to say X, just because I want to throw that variable in now. All right, so the way that we find that out, okay, and your teacher wrote it down there right there for you, is 180 minus 34 is equal to 146 degrees. And that is your answer. So you're just trying to fill that in. I'm not entirely certain where you got 130. I would be curious to if you remember what your thought process was on that. And it looks like you got 50 and then you added an extra 0. So I'm not really certain where you got that, but I would be curious to see if you remember what you're thinking. All right, and so then it says angle. Right here, it says angle GEH is a straight angle. Okay, straight angles always measure 180 degrees. All right, so then it says angle, and I like to just outline them to help me. Angle FEG is 78. Okay, find the measure of FEH. Okay, and then label it if it's obtuse or acute. And you already knew that it was going to be acute because you knew that 78 was going to be subtracted. So you were close, but I think you just rounded it. That's what I think you did there. Okay, so we have 102 degrees equals obtuse angle.